All right, Shalom Israel. We're the I.S.U.P.K. Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York City, under Commanding General Yohana, established in 1969. All right, started in 1969. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite group. We teach the truth according to the Bible that is so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, God's chosen people. That's right, quick. All right. So as you can see by today's class topic, grace is running out. You understand why are we saying this? Grace is running out. Let me make sure everybody, if everybody can hear me, just let me know in the chat. Give me a number 1 or something like that, just so I can know that I'm being heard in the chat. So let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Oh, sorry. Look in that refrigerator, see if there's a bottle of water in there. All right. Just let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. But again, the title says grace is running out. Follow the laws of the Most High. Why are we saying this? Because Christians have been taught that the laws are done away with. That the laws are done away with, and that God sent His Son I.S.U.P.K, as Jesus Christ, and that press pass right here. Let's sit down. What? Okay, sit up in that chair and focus in class. All right, go ahead, sit down. No, not right now. Okay. All right, so they think they're in a grace period because Christ died for them to have no, that they can sin and be able to sin and not be able to not have to suffer any consequences for sinning because so-called, Jesus Christ, I guess, died for their sins and they don't have to follow the law, statutes, commandments anymore. It's what the Christian church teaches. All right, so the title of class is Grace is Running Out. So let's go ahead and get it. Let me get let's get Romans chapter 6 real quick. All right, Romans chapter 6. Okay, so again, we living in a time right now where the Lord is ramping up. We in the last days. We've been in the last days ever since Yahweh Shah who is Jesus Christ, was hung and slew on a tree. Ever since Christ was crucified, we began the last days. That began the last days going into the time of, the end times, World War III, rumors of wars, the quickening spirit, the beginning of sorrows. We're going into time right now where it's suffering all over. People are dying left and right. We're about to go into the Third World War. And Christ is about to return. Okay, Christ is about to return and redeem the children of Israel, who are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. As all of these things are going on, the reason why we're pushing for Christ, the thing that's pushing for Christ to come back, is His saints, right? Who are His saints? The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who are following the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And that's the heavy part about it, right? Because we have to be following the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, so we're gonna read it right now in Romans, the 6th chapter. Are the laws done away with? Should we follow the laws? The whole thing about grace, trying to understand it, and we're gonna start it off with that. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Romans chapter 6, verse 1. 1 second. Okay, Romans chapter 6, verse 1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin? So let me back up one real quick. All right. Okay. So this is where, just to go back to chapter 5 right quick. Chapter 5, verse let's start at obedience of one shall many be made righteous. Moreover, the law entereth. Okay, let's just start at Romans 5, chapter 5, verse 20. It says, moreover, the law entered, right? That the offense might abound. But where sin abounded, grace did much more abound. That is, as sin have reigned unto death, even so might grace reign through righteousness until eternal life by Yahweh Shah Mashiach, was Jesus Christ our Lord. Right? So again, like this is the scripture that Christians read and say, okay, well, that as sin have reigned unto death, even so might grace reign through righteousness unto eternal life by Yahweh Shah Mashiach, our Lord. So they read this and say that, this means that, we can sin. You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. All right, so they read this and say, okay, well, we can commit sin, we can be sinners. The laws is done away with. Christ, through eternal life by our King Jesus Christ. But then when you get to the next chapter, when you read up, it says what? Let's go ahead and continue reading. It says, "What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin?" So this is Romans chapter 6, verse 1. It says, "What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?" Meaning because, that grace is plentiful. The Lord, have grace, and that we have grace because of, the death of our King. He died that we may be able to have grace and have mercy and change our lives. Right. So now what does that mean? Because he died for our sins, does that mean that we continue to sin forever? Let's go ahead and find out what is grace. Let's find out what grace is, all right? Let's look up the word grace. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, grace. Okay, grace, a period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or for compliance with a law or condition. That's what grace is. Grace is a period officially allowed for payment of a sum due or for compliance with a law. That's exactly what this is. Like, the grace period is for a period of time for you to be able to comply with the laws of the Most High. That's what it is. But because of Christianity, right, in the church, we've been taught that grace is just the Lord's way of saying that we don't have to follow the laws no more. They're done away with. He paid for our sins. He paid our debts and paid our dues. But that's so untrue. And that's why in Romans it says, "What now? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound?" Right? So it's that because we're under grace, we're supposed to just sin and continue in sin until death. No, that's not what's supposed to happen, man. Let's go ahead and continue to read. Next verse 2 says, "God forbid." Like, God forbid. Like that. That's the way of in the Bible of saying absolutely not. Right? God forbid. God forbid that he sent his son to give up his entire whole, to kill himself. I mean, not to kill himself, to give up his life. Right? That we just continue to be sinners. What was the point of him dying for? You think, like, what we think Christ is all about and the Most High is all about? You think the Most High is, see us out here being sinners and being unlawful and breaking the rules, breaking his commandments and say, you know what, I'm going to do. Y'all already breaking the laws and breaking the laws, statutes, commandments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give my beloved son. I'm going to give my beloved son to come and die that you can continue to sin. What is the point of that? What is the point of giving a life for people to continue to do what they've already been doing for hundreds of years? What's the point of sacrificing a life for people to do what they've been doing all their lives? There's no reason for it at all. All right. So again, when we think about grace, you think about the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. You got to be an idiot to think that he would, if we already sinning out here, that he would send his son to die for us to keep on sinning to do what we already been doing. Why would he have to send us? Is that door unlocked? See if the door's unlocked. Yes, it is. Why would, no, don't turn that way. Come on, son. You understand? Why would we have to keep on going in the same? Why would we have to send his son to die? You understand? For us to, you can grab some chairs right there for them, brother. You understand? Why would the Most High send his son to die for us to keep doing what we was already doing? What's the point of that? You know, brothers, we came out of Egypt, we went into the wilderness, we went through all of these different lands. And it's fine, whatever you would like, whatever you would like. Um, you know, we went through all these different lands, and we were sinning. We made the Lord angry. You understand? He was so angry that he sent us into captivity. You know, he sent nations up against us. He was angry because we were sinning. So if he was angry that we were sinning against him, why do Christians believe that he would send his beloved son to die for us to keep on sinning? It just doesn't make sense. Okay? And that's why Paul in these writings is saying, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? Because we're under grace, because the sacrifice the Lord gave for his son to die for us to be able to have mercy. So we now continue to sin and be sinners? Absolutely not. It says that's why verse 2 says, God forbid. God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Right? So again, how shall we that are dead to sin, you understand, live any longer therein? Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Yahushua Mashiach were baptized into his death, right? So again, so when you think about what we're reading right now, like it's talking about everything that Christ came and lived for and stood for was all for us to be able to change our lives. It's all for us to be able to change our lives, even all the way up to his death. Because if you think about it like this, all the times that we had the law, right? We think about the law, and let's consider the law today, the laws of the land. Like if you think about maybe let's say weed smoking, right? You know, you got a brother, you know weed is unlawful. Weed is unlawful in some states. Let's talk about the states it's unlawful in. You can't smoke weed, but people still smoke weed, even though it's unlawful in the land. It's still unlawful. So that's not getting them to stop smoking weed. Just saying, if you smoke weed, you're gonna go to jail. Right? So what Christ did is came and taught us the law and how to follow the law, and then him giving up his life was so that now a brother that does smoke weed, even though it's unlawful, might consider stopping smoking weed because his brother wanted him to stop smoking weed before he lost his life. Right? If you have a brother and he loses his life, and all of his life, everything that he ever taught you was to not get high, not get high, not get high. Every day you was around him. You was raised around him in the neighborhoods and in school and everywhere else. And all he ever wanted with you to do was to stop smoking weed. And then one day he gives up his life, his whole entire life, that you stop smoking weed. Then maybe that might be something that you would stop smoking weed for. And that's what Christ's death represented. It's like, you know what? I didn't put the weed down because it was unlawful. I put it down because my brother gave his life, and I love him. I love my brother. You understand? That's my family. If I want to honor his life and honor his legacy and all of the things that he stood for, then I would do it by not getting high. All right. So again, everything that Christ lived for, everything he taught, even his death was all for us to be able to stop being sinners. And for us to be able to stop being sinners is how Christ is going to come back. You understand? For how Christ is going to come back, our king, our big brother. Our king, our big brother, a black man from the tribe of Judah, he's going to come back and get justice for us and get vengeance for us, right? The white man just went out there and killed all those brothers and sisters. It ain't going to be no better vengeance than Christ coming back and slaughtering their race of people, slaughtering their nation. It ain't going to be no greater vengeance than that. You know, it ain't going to be no greater vengeance. So again, we have to get out of the mind state of this whole thing about grace and understand what grace really is a period for us to come to. What is the definition of that? Where we at? Let's see. A period for us to basically to come to grips with the law. It's a period for us to be able to commit to the law, start following the law, statutes, and commandments, for because that's really what Christ died for. Where is it at? Where is it at? I can't find it again, but it says the. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Okay. Grace, a period officially allowed for payment or of a sum due, right? Or for compliance with a law or condition, especially an extended period granted as a special favor, right? Because that's mostly what grace is. It's like somebody you owed somebody something, and then they did you a favor by allowing you an extended time to pay that debt, or in this case to Christ to start being able to comply with the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. That was a favor. Like Christ's death was a favor. It was not for you to go and just be sinners forever, right? It's for us to have grace and to be able to have an opportunity to have time to be able to comply with the laws of God. All right. So let's go ahead and get into a couple of these scriptures as well about the law. All right. Let me get let's get Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 10. You want to read for us, brother? Can you? All right, go ahead and read for us if you can.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 10.
That's correct.
If thou shalt hearken...
A little bit louder for us so they can hear you on the mic.
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God...
Right, so what does the word hearken mean? If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, what does the word hearken mean?
So to take heed.
No, you kind of there, but I mean, look at the word. What is the word? What is the word that you see within that word? Hearken.
Hear.
That's right. That's what it means to hear, right? To listen, to hear and to listen. So it says, if thou shalt hearken, or if thou shalt listen. Go ahead.
To keep his commandments.
Well, read from hearken again.
Hearken unto. From the word hearken?
Mm-hmm.
Hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Mm-hmm. So now it says, if you listen to the voice of the Lord thy God, go ahead.
To keep his commandments.
To keep his what?
To keep his commandments.
To keep his commandments, right? So it says, if thou will hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, you understand? To keep his commandments, go ahead.
And his statutes.
And his statutes.
Which are written in the book of the law.
Right, which is written in the book of the law. What is the book of the law? The book of the law is this Bible, right? The laws is written in Leviticus, and all throughout this Bible, there's commandments and laws that we need to follow. This is the book of the law. So it says, if we would listen to the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, go ahead.
And if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thine heart.
With all thine what?
Heart.
With all thine heart. What is your heart? What is your heart? Anybody can answer. You want to answer? That's right. Correct, sis. That's right. Your mind is your heart. When the Bible talks about your heart, it's talking about your mind, right? And this is important for us to know because it takes the spookiness off the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, in your heart, it's kind of, even Christianity plays on those type things. In your heart, it's like some love felt emotional thing, but it's not. Your heart is your mind, right? You make decisions with your mind, you'll make more wiser decisions than you will make if you make a decision with your gut or with your intuition, like people say, or your blood, like animals do. They move according to what their blood tells them to do, right? That's animalistic. But for us, our heart is our mind. That's where we're able to think about things, consider things, right? I have a conscience to say what's right and what's wrong, right? So it says, and if thou turn unto the Lord thy God with all thine heart, which is your mind, go ahead.
And with all thy soul.
And with all thy soul, right? Go ahead.
The next verse.
The next verse.
Verse 11. For this commandment which I command thee this day.
A little bit louder. Read it from the top.
For this commandment which I commanded thee this day.
For this commandment which I commanded thee this day. Go ahead.
It is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off.
Right. Not it is not hidden from thee, neither is it afar off. Right? Like so long we've been looking for the truth, right? We've been looking for the laws. We've been trying to understand who we are, what our identity is, what is our purpose in life, right? We think about those type of things all the time in the world. Like, what is our purpose? We're trying to figure it out. But these things are not hidden from us, right? The law has been stolen, right? The things have been taken away from us, but ultimately these records are here, like, right? And it's also in our inward parts. We all sometimes do things and we don't even know why we do it, and you still trying to figure it out. But these things are in us. You know what I mean? The truth is here. It's not far from us to learn. We go into the street corners every day and teach every day. So there's really no excuse for anybody to say they don't know the truth. It's all regarding of he that wants to hear, that person that actually wants to learn the truth and wants to apply the truth to their life. It's really that up to that. It's not something that's hidden or far off. It's right here in our faces every day. Go ahead. Read verse 12.
Verse 12. It is not in heaven.
It's not where?
In heaven.
Go ahead.
That thou shouldest.
That's correct.
Shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us?
Right. So it's like I say, it's not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us into heaven, for us to heaven and bring it unto us, right? Because again, this truth is very special. You know what I mean? It's very special. A lot of us find out the truth and we get so engulfed with it, and over time it becomes second nature. But we should never forget how special it is. You know what I mean? The more we live in this truth, we have to remember how special it is, how precious it is. And for us in the world to be looking for the truth and know what the answers are, which is in the Bible all this whole time. It's been there. It's right there. It's been in your grandma's table, collecting dust all of these years. It's been right here in our faces, in your pastor's pulpit for over hundreds of years. It's been there, right? And it's special to us. But when we think about the truth, we always think about looking up to the sky and, where is it at? With the Lord, asking the Lord for answers. And, only way we're going to get it is if the Lord just gives us a sign from heaven, and it's got to be some magical thing that got to happen. And that's why it's saying what it's saying right now. It's saying that it is not in heaven, right? That thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven, you understand, and bring it unto us. Because again, this is right here. It's here. This special thing is right here in our face this whole time. It ain't, as much as people would like to think, oh, well, we're going to continue to be sinners because, we don't have answers. We're born in the ghetto. We're born in poverty. We all the odds are against us. We just going to have to, commit to a life of sin, submit to a life of sin. And the only way it's going to ever change is if some, miraculous thing happens. And for a sinner, that's great news, because that miraculous thing will never happen. It's never going to be something that's going to fall from the sky and in your face from heaven. Some, person is going to just out of nowhere walk on water in front of you and say, this is the way you need to go. It's going to be right here. The brothers, I was about to say niggas, but the brothers that's on them street corners every day teaching the truth, the brothers that's sitting in these classrooms teaching the truth every day, this is how you're going to get it. This is where it's at. That heavenly thing that you're looking for is right here. This is it. This is the sign. This is it. Like he talked to like Christ talked to the Pharisees about Jonah. Like those people heard Jonah and they listened to Jonah. But now in the time of Christ, and this man performing all these miracles, and these people, they need a sign. They need some kind of sign from heaven to say that this is the Savior, that this is the word of God, this is the truth. But those people during the time of Jonah didn't need that. Jonah didn't do nothing special. He just came there and said that, the Lord said this is unlawful, and this is unlawful, that's unlawful, and this is lawful, and prophesied against the city. That's all he did. And every one of them changed. They repented, right? So that's why Christ said, he said, come more, have a seat. Osiris, you too, have a seat. Get in your chair. You understand? And everybody repented. Because again, it's not going to be no special thing. You're not going to be looking for a sign from heaven to happen. This is the sign right here. We're bringing out the truth in the Bible, telling you who you are, something that you've never heard before, even though this Bible has been right here in your face. So go ahead and continue to read.
And do it.
No, you just read it from the top. Let's start it from the top.
Verse 12. It is not in heaven that thou shouldest said, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it.
Right. That we may hear it and do it. Because again, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a sign. Because when that sign comes, then they're going to hear it, then they're going to do it. Then they're going to follow the law. That's when we're going to follow the law. When Jesus come down himself and say that this is the law. When Jesus come down himself and say, you are the Israelites according to the Bible. When he comes down himself and say, pork is unlawful. But as long as we in the U.P.K saying that it's really not, it's really not real. It's not to be, it's not honest. It's not, miraculous. But it have to be Christ himself to come down, and then that's when they'll hear it, and then they'll do it. But of course, we know that that's a lie, right? Because even when the time of Christ, when he was here, even John the Baptist himself was looking and knew that this was Christ, and over time still even questioned, should he follow him? Because it doesn't matter. People that want to do evil are going to just do evil. They're going to find any excuse and any reason to do evil, and the Lord got something for them. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, we would love to save everybody, but even we understand because of the Bible that everybody can't be saved. Right? So go ahead and continue to read.
Verse 13. Neither is it beyond the sea.
Neither is it beyond the sea. All right, go ahead.
That thou shouldest said, who shall go over the sea for us?
Right. Neither is it beyond the sea. You know what I mean? Neither is it beyond the sea. We're in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 13. Neither is it beyond the sea. Now, because it's beyond the sea, little small town black man, Hispanic, Native Indian man and woman like us, we would need some kind of boat and, what they call it, some kind of license to drive a boat and know how to read the stars and the wind and navigate whatever they call it. I don't know it because I'm not a captain of a boat. You know what I mean? So for that reason, a lot of us wouldn't be able to go over the sea to go get the truth and everything else. But fortunately, you don't have to go over a sea to go get the truth. You don't have to go to come have a man go to heaven and bring it down. They don't have to go beyond the sea. They don't have to do any of those things. And that's why it's saying what it's saying right now. Because if that was the case, then we'll never get the truth. That's right. We'll never get it, and we won't have it. We won't have the laws to know the truth of the laws and that we should be following them. So it says, neither is it beyond the sea. Go ahead.
And bring it unto us.
That thou should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. All right. So again, here they are again asking, if it's over the sea, then who's going to go beyond the sea and get the truth for us and get this word and these laws for us? If it's in heaven, then who's going to go into heaven and bring it down for us to be able to follow these things? They're thinking about it in a way where it's impossible. It's almost impossible, and for that reason, it's kind of like we think of like that all the time because something that's impossible or seems very unlikely to obtain, we just completely forget about it. And that's what we've done. We've forgotten about the law. We've forgotten about who we are. We've forgotten about all of these things because we would rather just submit to the life of crime, submit to the life of selfishness, following our own lust and our own selfishness, following our own heart, following our heart and our gut and our mind, and without thinking about what we're doing. What kind of war? Okay, I'm teaching class. You can't tell Osiris right now. She's got to pay attention, all right? Osiris, let him get one of those, all right? So he don't have to feel like he's left out. All right? Boom. So neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it. Go ahead. Verse 14.
Verse 14. But the word is very high.
Very nigh. Very nigh. A little bit louder, too. A little bit louder. Come on, use that strong masculine voice that you got. You got it in you.
But the word... Oh, sorry. but the word is very nigh.
Right. What does the word nigh mean?
I don't know.
Okay, it means near. The word is very nigh, I mean it's near. It's near you, it's close. Go ahead.
Nigh unto thee.
Right, nigh unto thee, meaning it's close to you. It's not beyond the sea. It's not in the heavens above the clouds, way out in, on Mars somewhere where you get to Mars. I can't get to Mars. You know what I mean? I can't get out there. I mean, probably we gotta have to depend on Jeff Bezos. What's his name? What's the brother? The white man name that went to the space? Elon Musk. That's who it was. I think that's what it was. We got to depend on him to go out there and get the truth, because we don't have a spaceship or the money for rocket fuel. We can barely afford unleaded gas to put in our car.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but thank God the Most High is not in space in the heavens somewhere. It's not beyond the sea where you have to have a yacht and some big boat and, whatever fuel you need to row to fuel a boat to get there. But the word is very nigh unto thee. Go ahead.
In thy mouth.
In thy mouth. Go ahead.
And in thy heart.
And in thy heart. Go ahead.
And that thou mayest do it.
That thou mayest do it. Right? It's right it's right near you. You understand? So much so that it's at your fingertips. You understand? It's at your fingertips. You hearing it. You understand? Like I said, the Lord said he put these things in our inward part for us to be able to know it, for us to teach one another. Like it's not something crazy out there that you got to figure it out. And for that reason, we should be following the law, statutes, and commandments. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. There's nothing. The Lord knows who we are and what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? Even from the time of Adam, for Adam to be the one to, create language for us to be able to even communicate with each other. And for Moses to be able to write it down, for us to have it in writing, and for it to be passed down word of mouth through our generations. Because are there people out there that knew they were Israelites without the Bible? Absolutely. Why? Because their forefathers passed it down word of mouth. They heard about it. They were taught like we the Israelites. There were Native Indian tribes and Hispanic tribes, even the Negroes and the Levites and Benjamite tribes. That were, passing these things down word of mouth for some time. And again, it's not far. It's not crazy, for us to obtain. Go ahead. So that we may do it, which is the most important part, because all of the things that you were limiting yourself to say, well, how can we get it to be able to do it? Now you have it. Are you going to do it though?
Right.
Are you going to do it now? Now that we have it here, this thing, the word of the Most High, the truth according to the Bible, now that it's here, are you going to do it? Now that you know that it's not okay to interracially marry, are you going to stop? Now that you know that it's not okay to lie, cheat, and steal, you understand? Are you going to stop now? Or now that you know that pork is unlawful, are you going to stop now? You understand? That's the real question. Now, for someone who's always been looking for an excuse all their lives, they're not most likely going to do it. But for someone who is tired of suffering, which is really where, most of the time people are really ready to change their life because they've created a mess in their lives. Their life is a mess. For them trying to be independent and, minding their own business and looking to wherever they look to and, not my Jesus, whoever that is, Caesar Borgia, you know what I mean? And they've created a mess in their lives. And then they'll say, well, damn, I'm tired of this. I'm suffering. My children are suffering. I'm ready to do it. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to do it. Right. And that's what those people did in Nineveh, you understand, the time of Jonah, right? So go ahead and continue. Verse 15.
Verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have set before thee this day life and good.
I've set before you this day life and good. Right? Doing good means following the law, statutes, and commandments. And when you follow the law, statutes, commandments, you live. And that's why the scriptures calls the law the breath of life. Because if you don't stop eating pork, you're going to die. You understand? If you don't stop celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving, you'll die. Right. If you don't stop aborting your own babies, then you'll die. You understand? Because those things are not good. That's not life. That's against the law of God. So he said, I've set before thee this day life and good. Go ahead.
And death and evil.
And death and evil, right? Because here we are set in a place where we're separated from all nations on the earth. And because we're separate from all nations on the earth and the Lord didn't choose everybody, there's a thing that he gave us that's good. And there's a thing that every other nation represents that's bad, that's evil, right? So now we think about a time where we were in the Garden of Eden and we were given the tree of life, meaning the law or the understanding of the Most High, his word and his laws, that he said, don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is out there amongst us. Which ultimately is the other nations, right? Because trees represent families, right? When you think about a tree, you think about a family tree, you know what I mean? Or so on and so forth. When you think of a family tree or a body of people, branches, sons and grandsons and granddaughters, and it branches out. So these people have a culture of their own. And they all have traditions of their own and gods of their own. And those are the things that the Lord put before us. He gave us our culture. And he gave them, these people on the earth, them, and they have a culture. So ultimately, do we have a choice? Yeah, we do have a choice. But do we have a choice? Let's find out and see. Go ahead and read.
Verse 16. In that I commanded thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments.
Go ahead. So like right now, so it's saying that we don't have an option. He put these things before us, and then at the same time, he commanded us this day to love the Lord thy God, which is what is the love of the Most High. It says right here to walk in his ways. That's what the love of the Most High is, to walk in his ways and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments. That's what it means to love the Most High. And these things have not changed. They never changed. The Bible hasn't changed. You know, this Bible was, we got those records that's thousands of years old. So how now can we say, that the laws is done away with? Where is that in the Bible? Who said that? Who changed that? Like it says, who changed the truth of God into a lie? It doesn't say the laws is done away with it anywhere in this Bible.
Right.
Whether matter if it's the Old Testament, whether it's the Apocrypha during the Greek Empire or during the Roman Empire going into the New Testament. It doesn't say the laws are done away with, right? It's always telling us that we need to love the Most High, to walk in his ways, to follow his commandments, follow his statutes and his judgments. Thou mayest what?
And thou mayest live.
Thou mayest what?
And thou mayest live.
Thou mayest live, right? Because that's where life comes from. That's where life comes from. You following the law, statutes, and commandments. That's where life comes from. That's where it is. And you think that you're under grace. You are under grace, right? Because you do have but in a time where somebody would bash you over the head because you're a homosexual, that's not happening anymore. Right, so you now have a chance to be able to be a sinner and change your life and repent without having to lose your life immediately. You understand? You're able to repent, change your ways, suffer a little bit, but still live your life, right? And have a fruitful life, right? So it says that thou mayest live. Go ahead.
And multiply. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it.
Right. So again, and the Lord is going to bless us in the land where we go to possess it, because that's what the kingdom of heaven is. It's rulership. All through the Bible, anytime when we was on the Lord's side and the Lord was on our side, that's what he always led us to do. He always led us to lands to be able to conquer it. And what does the word say again? What's that last word?
Possess it.
Yeah, to possess it, to possess the land and to call it our own. For us to be able to live there and build our infrastructures and teach our classes and live in our culture and our traditions, which is beautiful, you know what I mean? And we don't get to do that because today we don't possess this land because of our lawlessness. And for that reason, now our children are subject to all kind of homosexuality. There you go. Our children are subject to all kind of homosexuality. It's subject to all kind of crimes and murder and evil, all types of evil that happens in the earth, it happens in your neighborhood, in your community, and so on and so forth, because this is not our land that we possess. This is Esau's land. And because this is Esau's land, you see drugs everywhere. You see homosexuality on TV. You see, everything, murder. I mean, you name it. I mean, look at the animals. I mean, the animals, damn, you can't even see a good live animal, right? Like I said, the horses and lions is all malnourished. They don't even move the way they used to. That's a beautiful thing to be able to see, Wild animals are definitely dangerous, but the Lord created them and they can't even live in their true light. You know what I mean? Because America and the white society that rules the whole entire earth is destroying it all. You know what I mean? Imagine how these lands looked in a time before this place was colonized with so many, springs and buffalo, right? The woolly mammoths, you know what I mean? We can't even see a woolly mammoth, you know what I mean? Like we can't even see one, and all of these things are because this is not our society. And the white man's society is destructive. It's detrimental. It's diabolical. It's toxic. It's cancerous. So again, that's what we're forced to live in because these are the people we choose to serve and follow, and not the Most High. But if we choose to serve and follow the Most High, like the brother just read right now, we in Deuteronomy 30 and I think 16. Go ahead.
And Salakia, sir, I don't mean to go off topic, but when you were saying about them destroying the land, also even the waters, because there's a show that we seen on Netflix called Seaspiracy.
Mm-hmm. Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy, and that's I recommend, like, that's a good one to watch.
Yeah.
It shows how Moab, the white man, and how they're destroying the ocean, and how we need the ocean.
Absolutely.
Because our oxygen is made most of water.
Right. That's right.
The land, so we need that water. But with them killing everything, it's destroying the water.
That's right. That's right. When the sister is bringing out is heavy, like they're not just destroying the animals and the lands, they're destroying the water and the oxygen itself. That's all around us through pollution, right? So, and it's important to understand these things because it's a great part of the deal of the reason why we don't live long in life. We die at 24. Some of us die in the womb because of abortion, because the white society supports abortions. So again, we can change all of those things by hold on, read verse 16 again. Let him read. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 16. In that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God.
All right, we can change all of that by loving the Most High. And loving the Most High means what? Continue.
To walk in his ways.
Right, to walk in his ways. Go ahead.
And to keep his commandments and his statutes.
And to keep his commandments and his statutes. We can change all of those things, right? We can create a society that where you don't have to worry about a school shooter and a mass shooter that's coming to your Walmart, your local, supermarket to kill you because you're black. Because that's society. That's how they live. They're monsters. You know what I mean? The Chinese people forget about it. I mean, who knows if that's chicken and broccoli? You know what I mean? Who knows if that's beef and broccoli? Who knows if it is? Because they're a culture of people that they look at rat and dog and stuff and cat like a delicacy. And they not only can look at it as a delicacy, but because they're such greedy pigs, they can make a lot more money selling you dog and cat and rat than it is for the cost of beef. Right. The cost of chicken. So again, like we can change these things by following the Most High his ways and following law, statutes, commandments. Go ahead.
And his judgments.
Go ahead.
That thou mayest live and multiply.
Right, and his judgments, right? Because again, like we got to know that these laws are there for a reason. And judgment is equally as important. Because again, a lot of the time that we wandered off into like wickedness, what was the thing that brought us back? Judgment. And it was fair judgment. It was judgment that it wasn't like, okay, well, this person is better than this person, or he has more money, like how the system of America is basically, right? You got money in America, you can get away with murder. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. You can get away with murder. If you're white, forget about it. You can get away scotch-free for nothing. And that's not righteous judgment. But our judgment from the Lord is righteous. It's fair. And we need that because that's what keeps the nation in line. That's what keeps us in line, because not only do we don't want to suffer, but also we can respect it because we are all subject to the same judgment, right? The same one mind, one body, one judgment. Go ahead and read.
On the console. And the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whether thou goest to possess it.
Mm-hmm. And again, the Lord, the God, will bless thee in the land that we go to possess. So once we do come back into our mind, our right minds, which means getting all these demons off of us, following the law, statutes, commandments, and really being, walking in the path of the Lord, that we'll begin to be guided by the Most High into lands and take over them. When Christ comes back, that's what's going to happen. He's going to put crowns on brothers' heads, and he's going to send us out to go do his work, which is going to gather up the heathens, cast judgment on whoever the case may be, and then the land is going to be divided up as a possession for us to rule over. Go ahead and read.
Verse 17.
Hold on. Let me see. What scripture I want. Let me drop down to verse 19. Hold on, let me see, because maybe 17 might be something we need to get. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and read all the way through it. Go ahead, give me 17.
Verse 17. But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear.
Right, so if your heart turn away, what did we say your heart was? Brother right here, young man? Your mind. If your mind turns away, right, because you're distracted, you lost focus, or you've been tempted, whatever the case may be, there's something, you was on the right path of not being a weed head, and then here go somebody coming and smoking weed around you, and for that second now you drawn by it, and your mind has been turned away. You've been turned away through the teachings, and that's what Christianity does. It turns your mind away from the truth. Because at the end of the day, the truth is in the Bible. But because of Christianity, like it says, woe to the pastors that scatter the flock of my pasture, or the sheep of my pasture. Because now, when we probably could have been close to the truth, because it's nigh to us, right? Now they've sent us far from the truth, because we leave Christianity, we leave the entire Bible. We go into Islam. We go into Islam, we go into Taoism, Rastafarianism, Egyptology, chematology. We go into all of those things, and what it's saying right now is what that is. Our heart gets turned away. Our mind gets turned away. The things that are happening in our society, the distractions of the affairs of this world, or the deceitfulness of riches, like the Bible talks about. All of those things can turn your mind away from the truth. Go ahead. So that. So that. Yeah, so read it from the top.
Okay. But if, verse 17, but if thine heart turn away.
So if your heart turn away from keeping the commandments and his statutes and his judgments, go ahead. So that thou will not hear. Right, so thou will not hear, right? Because in the beginning we read it says, hearken unto the voice of the Lord. Listen, hear the voice of the Lord. Like these things that happen that cause you to turn away, cause you to not hear what the Lord has said, what the Most High told us to do and not do. It causes us to not hear the life of Christ and what he did and his stories. It causes us to not hear what David did and what happened to him, because we're not thinking about those things. We're thinking about, games, and women and money and drugs and entertainment and pleasure and all of these things that we don't even hear no more. We don't even consider the Bible or Christ or the law, statutes, and commandments, the things that we will listen to and that the Lord will bless us and give us land and, give us life and to be able to possess these lands, and also a lot more greater than that. But because we don't hear, go ahead.
But shalt be drawn away.
Go ahead.
And worship other gods and serve them.
Right? So we're going to worship other gods and serve them. A lot of people don't understand that there are many gods, right? In quote, out quote. Because wherever you worship, that's your God. You understand? So people have a God in, Horus, whoever that is. Somebody made up. People worship weed. People worship stars, right? Stars is some people's gods. Their dreads, they have a dread, and then that becomes your god, and Shiva and every other thing, the goddess of, I forgot what she's called, Shiva. But all of these things that you worship are attached to different gods. And if you don't separate yourself from those things, and the only way to do it is to know the truth. And how do you know the truth? By hearkening, by hearing it. You have to hear the truth. And you can't hear the truth if you're so busy, listening to this man, or listening to this, or putting your trust there, or worshiping that, and worshiping the stars, and worshiping the moons, and worshiping women, and worshiping money, and all those other things. You can't hear the word of God. And you will end up going and worshiping these other gods and serving them. Go ahead and read verse 18. Because this is what we're dealing with today right here. Where our hearts in all of these lands, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, our minds has been turned away from the Most High. Like all of us have. We've been turned away from the Most High, and because we've been turned away from the Most High, we don't hear the word of the Most High, right? Because where our minds are at, we're we're far from the truth. The truth is right here, but we're far from it because we're here. We're there. We're in the Muslim mosque. We're at the Christian church. We trying to make that voyage to Mecca to go circle the stone and doing banging our heads on the ground 7 times for Allah, and we're turned away from the Most High, and we don't hear the word of the Lord in these places. Go ahead.
Verse 18: I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish.
Let's start making it a habit too to start getting that Bible out. Get that physical Bible out, all right? So you can start learning how to get to them pages and turn it just as we would do in camp. All right.
Oh, shall surely perish.
Yeah. So it says now shall surely perish, right? Because again, the Lord put before us good and life, right? Because the law is the good thing. Our history, that's the good thing. We read that and hear that, and we have life. We live. We not just live, but we have blessings. We have land and families to get to be together. We live healthy lives. We grow strong. We grow old. There were men and women in the Bible that was living almost 1,000 years. You know what I mean? Brother Methuselah, and I think that was what Enoch's son or something like that. He would live to almost be 1,000 years old. You know what I mean? 700 years old. That's possible. He can live that long and be, human. You know what I mean? He could be human. But again, we're not going to see those things because that comes with following the laws, statutes, and commandments. Being in the kingdom of heaven, not just that, but being in our environment, living in our environment where we've gotten things in order. And because of our rulership, there is no pollution. There is no murder, and there's no, what's the GMO and stuff like that, because we're not stinking merchants that just think about money all day, right? We actually want people to have good things and eat good, and also that means even the poor too, right? The poor as well. So having all of those things is going to be able to promote that type of life for us to live. All right, so go ahead and read.
And that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land.
See what I'm saying? You should not prolong your days upon the land. Like, we're going to die. We're not going to live long. We're not going to have a long, prosperous life. You know what I mean? Like, if you really even think about it, you think about even where we at today compared to where we are from when we came to America. Our forefathers lived to like 90, 100 years old, even in America. When we came here on slave ships, besides us being murdered by white Caucasians, we lived like 90 years, 100 years, you know what I mean, in America, 100 years old. Like my father, I think he was like 73. My mother right now is alive right now. She was born in 42 or something like that, 46. You know what I mean? So my mother would be she's like 80 years old right now, if I'm not mistaken. You understand? And that so when you go further back in our recent ancestors, people lived longer. Like the more and more time goes by in this empire and our evil ways, our days begin to not be so prolonged. We start to die earlier and earlier and earlier, to the point now where grandmas are 30, 40 years old. You know what I mean? 50 years old. Like that's, grandmas, you know what I mean? At 40 years old, and grandma's out trying to live her best life.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't even drop the kids off at grandma's house like you used to back in the day because grandma is only 43 and she got a life to live.
Right.
You know what I mean? She trying to live her life and you can't take her there. You know what I mean? And you're a mother and a father and you only, young in age. Like things has changed. You know what I mean? Our life expectancy, all of those things are changing. It only has happened this way because we've turned our way from the law. We've turned our minds from the truth and who we are and how we should be living. And for that, the Lord told us that we would perish and that our days would no longer be prolonged in the earth. Go ahead.
Whether thou possess over Jordan,
Passeth
over Jordan to go to possess it.
Right. So, okay. So now, like more specifically, this is the time of Moses, right? In Deuteronomy, we talking about Moses and they talking about going into the land of crossing over the Jordan, going into Jericho, right? Because that was the Lord's will for them to go to Jericho because that was the promised land where they were going to go and take over and possess the land there, right? And he was listening to the Lord. But because, again, when you think about what Moses did that caused him to perish, right, before he can even see the promised land, these are the same things we're learning from still to this day. It's still the same thing today. We're still trying to cross over to the promised land right now, but it's not going to happen. Only way it's going to happen is if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments. So saying that the law, statutes, commandments are done away with and that we're under grace is absolutely, destructive to us. It's destructive to our nation, to our society, because that's the only thing that's going to deliver us from evil. Those law, statutes, and commandments. Nothing has changed. Now read verse 19 for me.
Verse 19.
Come on. Get your hand out your mouth. That's nasty. Get your hand out your mouth. Out your mouth. Put your hand down. Hand down. Don't put it back in your mouth again. Read it again up.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you.
To record this day against you. Right? I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, right? Go ahead.
That I have set before you life and death.
Right. So again, now he's saying it again. I set before you life and death. And this is in record, right? This is a thing that's going to be recorded in heaven and earth for everyone to know, for man to know, because here we are reading about it, right? And the angels at that time were witnesses as well to these things. Go ahead and read.
Blessing and cursing.
Right. So I put before you life and death, and I put before you blessings and cursing. Go ahead.
Therefore, choose life.
Therefore, what?
Choose life.
You got pro-choice.
Choose life.
You decide what you want to do.
Choose life.
It's up to you.
Choose life.
You got the option. The option is yours.
Choose life.
I know. You don't have an option. The Lord said, I put before you life and death, and I'm telling you to choose life. I'm telling you to choose life. Choose life. The only reason you have life and death before you is because these are the nations I've created for you to serve you. I created them to serve you. These other nations were made to serve. It's like how they said about us. They said the same thing about us. We were made to serve. They must be made to work. That's what Christopher Columbus said. He said, these are peaceful people. They must be made to work. No, you were made to work, right? These people were made to work. And while they working, they without a God themselves create their own gods. But they're not for us to follow. Right. We're supposed to follow what the Lord gave us to follow. That's why he said, I put before you life and death, blessings and cursings, to choose life. Go ahead.
That both thou and thy seed may live.
That both thou and thy seed may live. All right? Because again, like we see, at the time where children would bury their parents, now parents are burying their children. You know what I mean? That's the most common thing today. We're dying at such young ages that we're not even able to grow old for one, but we're having to bury our own children. And all of those things are because of curses. That's the curses that he's talking about. He put before us. And the curses come from sinning against God. So essentially, only way to get to deliver ourselves from these evil things from happening to us, the suffering that's happening not only to us, to our children, is to choose life. And the life is the law. That's the statutes, the commandments, the same thing we read at the top of this chapter, right? The same thing he says, hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, right? Go ahead and read that last verse 20.
Verse 20, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God,
All right, go ahead.
And that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him,
Go ahead.
For he is thy life, and thy length of thy days.
Right, he's the reason you live, and he's the reason why you live a long life. I mean, this is why you have to love the Lord thy God, and that's how you love him, by obeying his voice. What is his voice? His voice is the same thing that we're teaching right now in this class right here. I'm reading the Bible. He's reading the voice. He's the voice of the Lord right now. He's reading these scriptures out loud. And we're hearing it, and the things that are in this Bible are things we're supposed to listen to and do. Right? It says, then who's going to bring it for us to hear it and do it? Well, here it is. You hear it, now do it. Go ahead. That thou mayest dwell.
That thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them.
All right. So again, the Lord swear, you understand? He swear unto our fathers, not to everybody's fathers. All right. He didn't swear to everybody's fathers, because Jacob is only the father of the Israelites. Jacob is not the father of Esau. Jacob is not the father of Ishmael. He's not the father of any of those. Jacob is the father of Israel. So essentially, when he says Abraham to Isaac and to Jacob, he's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. And that's who the Lord chose. That's who the Lord gave the laws to. That's the people that the Lord promised to give us the kingdom of heaven, for us to inherit the kingdom of heaven. All right. So with that being said, we're the people also that if we break the laws, that will suffer. It's us. You understand? Matter of fact, drop that. Let me get Romans. Let me get Romans chapter 9, verse 4. All right. We are the people that the Lord gave the laws to. And for us to know that we're the people that he gave the laws to, we have to know that it makes sense that we're the ones that's in the worst condition on the earth. Because we're the ones that he told to follow his laws, and we're the ones that's suffering for not following his laws. Even though we live the same lifestyle that the white man lives, because we following after him. We doing drugs, we're being whores and pimps and gangsters and thugs. We get that from white society. But for him, being a thug is prosperous. Being a thug and a gangster and a drug dealer, for them is prosperous. It's fruitful. They get movies. You know what I mean? You can make a movie about you. If you're a white drug dealer, you could be Al Capone and Scarface and all of these mob gangsters. From these Italians and stuff like that. You could be honored and idolized. But for you die like a snake and get thrown in a pen like a rat. You understand? At the bottom of every food chain, because for you the law was given to. Let's read it.
Romans chapter 9, verse 4. Who are Israelites?
Who what?
Who are Israelites?
Who are Israelites? You understand? Who are Israelites? What is it like? That's a question that everybody wants to know. Who are Israelites? Who are the Israelites? People say that the Israelites are gone and done away with. People say that the Israelites are white people. It's that white man is in Israel right now that calls himself a Jew. They say that that's God's chosen people. Right? To who are the Israelites? Go ahead.
To whom pertaineth the adoption?
To who pertaineth the adoption? Because these people who are called Israelites are God's chosen people. These are the people that the Lord chose. Right? You adopt somebody, you choose them. You say, I want to take this child home with me. You know what I mean? Like this, he chose us. He adopted us. He say, I choose you. You know what I mean? Because you to be a special people above all people. So we are a special people, these Israelites in this Bible, which people got to get in their minds today, because, to think that God loves everybody is absolutely blasphemous. It's not biblical to say God loves everybody. It's nowhere in the Bible. So let's read more into it. Who are Israelites? Go ahead.
to whom pertaineth the adoption,
Yeah.
and the glory,
Uh-huh.
and the covenant,
And the glory, right? And the glory, because again, we all the people that we conquered in the name of Yahweh, in the name of the Most High in Christ, that gave us glory. That gave the Most High glory. It's hand in hand, right? Because they're looking at us as a special people, and we're special because the Lord, and they always give honor to the Lord. And they all, like all the stories we read about before, when they say, man, whoever this person's God is real. You know what I mean? This person's God is real. Whoever the God of Israel is real, unlike my God. You understand? So the Most High always got the glory. We got the glory because we got the Most High on our side, and the Most High got the glory for everything that we've ever done that was righteous, right? What?
and the giving of the law,
And what?
and the giving of the law,
And the giving of the law, right? The Lord gave us the law, and to understand grace, and you have to understand the law. You understand? Like the law is something for us is a good thing, right? Because for one, it's for us. It's our culture. Okay, like Chinese people, they wear certain outfits, right? They wear certain clothing. You know, Arabs wear certain clothing. You know what I mean? They eat certain things that they like, that they call their traditional foods and stuff like that. Well, the same thing is for us. Like there's certain foods that we eat that's part of our traditions and our culture. And it's very much the things that the Lord told us that we can eat. The things we can eat is what makes our culture. The way we supposed to dress is the thing that gives us our culture. That's why it says we are the salt of the earth, right? We are the salt of the earth. That gives us flavor. Like we're being able to decide what fish we can eat and what fish we can't eat. It's what makes us different from everybody else. It's what makes us special, because anybody will walk into the store and they'd be like, well, you can get this fish sandwich, and they will probably just buy the fish sandwich because it's a food, it's a fish sandwich. But as for us, we want to know what kind of fish is that sandwich, like what kind of fish is it, and some could consider that bougie as well. You know what I mean? It's bougie because it's fish. You know what I mean? Just eat it. It's fish. No, we don't eat any kind of fish. We don't just dress any kind of way. We don't just conduct ourselves any kind of way. We're a special people. That law is our culture, right? But at the same time, understanding the law is why, and understanding that is how you can know that the Lord didn't do away with the law, right? Because at the end of the day, how can we remain a special people without the law? How can we remain holy without the law? We can't. It's the only thing that makes us holy. I mean, white people can sing, can't they? I know some good singing white people. I know some good, heathens that can dance their ass off. I know some good heathen dancers. You know what I mean? And so at the end of the day, that doesn't make us special, because they can do it too. But the thing that makes us special is because we have the laws, statutes, and commandments that was given to us. We have the glory of the Lord. We have the service of the Most High, right? Like we're reading about right now in these scriptures. Read it again.
Romans chapter 9, verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Who are Israelites?
Mm-hmm.
To whom pertaineth the adoption?
Right. Did the Lord adopt everybody? No, he didn't adopt everybody. That's one thing that no other nation can claim, right? We can't claim that. Go ahead.
And the glory.
And the glory. Like, who else gets glory because of the Lord? Not any other people. Nobody else can claim that. Go ahead.
And the covenants.
Right, and the covenants. Who did he give the covenants to? He gave the covenant to Abraham. Now he made a new covenant with the house of Israel in the New Testament. It's a new covenant with this house of Israel. So nobody else can claim that. Nobody else has rightful claim to that. So that's what makes us special. Go ahead.
And the giving of the law.
And the giving of the law. Like nobody else was given the law. Right? That's what makes us special. Because in a household where parents probably don't tell their kids what to do, they probably let their kids do whatever they want to do, and so on and so forth, where they act a fool and smoke weed and bring girls home and whatever the case may be. In our house, in the house of the Most High, there's rules. You understand? That keep us in order, that keep us in line. So we're not acting like animals. You know what I mean? So we're not behaving like animals and suffering and, behaving any kind of way and having negative results that, cause us to start looking bad. You know what I mean? You see brothers now you went to school with, sisters you went to school with, and did drugs, and now they done got older, and now they look like they 80 years old, and they the same age as you. You like, I'm 20 years old, I'm 23 years old, man. We look, we went to school together. He looked like he 89 years old. Why is that so? Because they was living a life of crime. They was doing drugs every day, drinking, getting drunk, and getting high, and living a lifestyle that was, degrading to their mind, to their flesh, to their body, to their spirit, and that's what happened. So again, the Lord gave our house, the house of Israel, those laws to be able, so we can be able to have, be a quality to ourselves. So again, you can't say the laws are done away with, because if they are done away with, then again, there's nothing special about us. We're just like not only the white man and the Chinese man, but we're just like the hyenas as well, and the snakes and the rabbits, and and the raccoons, or whatever animals that are out there that don't have no laws to live by. They eat what they want to eat and do what they want to do, whatever their blood tells them to do. Okay, go ahead and read it. Continue.
And the giving of the law, and the service of God.
All right, in the service of the Most High. Let me get I think it's in Jeremiah. I thought it was in Jeremiah. Yeah, Jeremiah. Oh, is that it? No, that's not it. Okay, for now, just give me Hebrews 10 and 26. I'm gonna just start walking down some scriptures now. Let me know when you get that.
Okay. Said 10 and 26?
Mm-hmm.
I got it.
In fact, let me get Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 11. Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 11.
In the Apocrypha?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why you should always have the books out in the beginning in the first place, all right? All right, for the second time, Ecclesiasticus, you about to say something?
No.
All right, so Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 11 says, besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage. That's just what I was just saying just now. Like, the laws of life is for our heritage. What is a heritage? Let's look up the word heritage.
Yeah, chapter 17.
Yep, 17.
Okay.
A heritage, it says property that is or may be inherited, an inheritance, a special or individual possession, right? So again, this is what makes us special. This is our heritage, the law of God. It's not, and again, it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning of the class of how people look for excuses not to follow the law, because in their mind, they don't want to follow the rules. They want to do what they want to do because of their lust, their own selfishness and desires. But ultimately, they don't understand the law to know that the law is what makes us special. Not even knowing who they are, their identity, who they, being an Israelite is already a disservice to their entire being, their family and their nation and everyone else, right? So again, what happens is if they knew their identity and knew that I am the Israelites, we are the Israelites that the Bible speaks of, that in itself is special. And to know that, the Lord gave us the thing that makes us special is the knowledge and the law of life would make us more empowered to follow those laws. You know what I mean? And to hear it from a different point of just, like a parent that don't do this and don't do that. Now, as children, we hear our parents tell us, don't do this, don't that. We like, man, come on, man. I just be wanting to have fun. I just be wanting to do this. I be wanting to get it. I got all these rules, and we feel kind of oppressed by rules and laws. But these laws are not to oppress us. These laws are not to oppress us. They're to save us. And not only are they to save us, they are the thing that makes us special. It's something that you have that nobody else can have, that they can't not say, well, we got it too. It's what makes everything that who you are special and spectacular. So that's why when we read the word heritage one more time for the definition, it says inheritance, right? Because again, this is something that we pass down through Israelites, as Israelites, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, through our generations. We pass the laws down to our children and to their children and their children and their children, and the knowledge of who we are down to our children and their children and children and children, right? It's an inheritance, but as well, it's a property that is or may be inherited, a special or individual possession, right? So it's special to us. Okay, it's special to us. Okay. All right, drop that. Let me get let me get that Hebrews 10 and 26. All right. We don't have a Bible in here. We gotta work on that. Just go ahead and give me that scripture, all right? It's all right. We'll get it. Hebrews 10 and 26. So again, when you think about it, like I said, we already have it in our spirit already as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be different. We already have that in our spirit. Nobody complains about it when we talk about being trendsetters. You know what I mean? When we talk about being trendsetters, what do you see? Everybody want to be the number one to do this. I'm the first to do that. I'm the first to do this. Oh, I'm the only one to do this. I'm the only one to do that. Because we want to be special. We want to be hot and fancy and special and different. So it's nothing wrong in that degree, and it's just as well as there's nothing wrong in this degree. You should want to be special in fashion and music and every other thing, and just as much as you should want to be special in the law of God, in the eyes of the Most High, and all the other nations upon the face of the earth. For Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to be special, and to every other nation to be able to look at us and say, "Damn, this is a special people right here. Look how their women, look how modest their women are. Look how well they conduct themselves. Look how orderly they are. Look at their men, how austere they are, how manly they are, but also how disciplined they are. Look at them, man. Look how they communicate with one another. Look how they deal with their families. Look how they raise their children so orderly and so that's how it's supposed to be. That's what the law promotes. The law promotes those things, the knowledge that we just read about, the knowledge and the law of life. That's what it promotes. It promotes us being in the right order, being in the right mind, living righteously, for other nations to be able to see us and admire us, and the Most High to be pleased above all, right? For the Most High to be pleased. So again, this is something that we should be teaching our children. We should have been taught it as adults. We should have been taught it as children. But because our forefathers have turned away their hearts and have not hearkened to the Lord, we've been through dark ages. All right, we went through dark ages, a time when the truth was completely out of our mind for generations. You know what I mean? Nobody knew who we were. We didn't know who we were. We were living under these different societies, following after them. And for so long, it's been like that. But now we have the truth again. Now we have to spread the truth again. And as well as the truth, as well as the same thing that the truth is here for us to now learn, to be able to, as adults, in so many generations of gap of not having it, to be able to now use it and teach our children after us and start promoting better, righteous generations after. But there are things that are happening in correspondence that are pushing us to really learn it, because evil is happening, right? Death is happening. People are more and more dying. More and more people are getting sick. There's more and more rumors of wars. More wars are actually happening. Sicknesses and diseases and pestilence and famine. All these things are ramping up at the same time. If the truth is getting spread, the evil is getting spread more and more too, as well. Matter of fact, give me 2nd Ezra chapter. What you was holding?
Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26.
Let's read that right quick, and then we'll get to 2nd Ezra.
Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 26.
Mhm.
For if we sin willfully,
If we do what?
If we sin willfully,
If we sin willfully, and this is in the New Testament, right? So this is in the New Testament when they always say Christ died for our sins. Well, while we in Hebrews learning from his disciples, that we don't need to sin. We don't need to sin, and that if we sin willfully, go ahead.
After that, we have received the knowledge of the truth.
Right. After we've received the knowledge of the truth, like again, all of these ages that we've gone without this knowledge. Osiris and Kamor, y'all sit down in your chair. After all of these ages of going without the truth and sinning in the dark, right? Because we don't know who we are. We don't know the laws. We don't know how can we follow the laws if we don't know the laws. We don't know them. At the same time, we still suffering. We still, are paying the price and perishing, and our days are getting shortened, so on and so forth. But now when it comes to time we're learning the truth and it's being put out in the earth, the knowledge of who we are, and we still sin willingly. Go ahead.
There remaineth no more sacrifices for sin.
Right. There remaineth no more sacrifices for sin. Go ahead.
Verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
But a certain fearful look for of judgment and fiery indignation,
Mm-hmm.
which shall devour the advisors.
Okay, let's go to Second Ezra. So ultimately, like again, sin, there will be no sacrifice for sin, right? So again, you're going to pay. You're going to have to pay. You're going to suffer. You're going to be in the ghetto. You're going to be, you're going to perish, like the Bible talks about. You're going to perish. Sinning willfully is something is even more terrible than someone who's ignorant to the truth, who's committing sin. You know what I mean? Because now, like I read in the scriptures earlier, when it says, who's going to bring it down for us to hear it and do it. And now you hear it and you don't do it. It's even worse. Right. It's even worse now than it was before when you didn't hear it and you didn't do it. Right? So give me Second Ezra chapter 7, verse, I think 11. I think it may be. Second Ezra, I think it's 7 and 11. You got it?
That's in the platform.
That's correct.
I need it.
Second Ezra, let me get chapter 14, verse 13.
Chapter 14, verse 13?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 14, verse 13.
Go ahead and let me get it once you got it.
Come to concept. Second Ezra chapter 14, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Now therefore set thine house in order.
Right. Now, because the time that we're living in, like what I'm telling you right now, like this grace that you've always talked about for hundreds of years is coming to an end. It's coming closer to, like, you know what they say, it's never too late till Christ come back. Right? Reincarnation is real. So when you die, you get born again. You get born again and born again. And you have another chance to get it right. But it's too late once Christ returns. You're going to be judged. You understand? When Christ returns. But for that reason, now is the time to do what?
Now therefore set thine house in order.
Now is the time to set your house in order. Now is time to start. That order that it talked about in that Bible when it says the head of the Christ is the Most High, and the head of the man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and this woman the kids, and so on and so forth. That's the time, the order to get in. Now, you understand? That's the time to get in. And for all of the time that you thought you were under Christ in that church, it's time for you to realize you're not under Christ in that church. And it's not the head of your life, because the things that are being taught in that church are absolutely contrary to the Bible. All of it is contrary to the Bible, right? So now it's time to really get in order. It's time to really get in order. And Christ, the real black man Christ, the Yahweh Shah Mashiach being the head of man's life is when you really start to see blessings coming in the family. You really start to see salvation for your children and, life and things to start really, turning out right, and the mess to start to clear up. Okay, go ahead.
And reprove thy people.
And do what?
And reprove thy people.
And reprove thy people. What does it mean to reprove? Good.
To correct your people.
That's right. To correct your people. Now it's time to correct our people. So, it's sad to say, we just for like example, that white boy shot up the place and, killed our people. It is sad to say that they in some way were probably sinning against the Lord. They in some way was doing something that didn't please the Lord, because the Lord is the author of life and death. So the Lord caused the death to happen. He caused the deaths. He authorizes the killings in the earth. So we have to know that reproving our people and telling them the God honest truth is really the only thing that's going to save them. You can't take this, like my brother was talking to me before about his brother, homeboy, has died, and he went to his funeral because he grew up with him, but at the same time he died because he was doing hella drugs and stuff like that. So he's decided that he's going to go to the funeral this time because all of his other friends was going to be there crying and weeping and mourning and every other thing, but he was going to make it his duty to reprove them and say, listen, y'all can't sit right here and act like y'all love this brother, knowing that he died because he was getting high and doing Percocets and sipping lean and everything else. And then what do y'all turn around and do to mourn him? You get high and do lean and everything else. Well, the truth is, I'm not coming to your funerals. I won't come to your funerals, because what you have to do right now is you have to stop getting high. You have to stop getting high. You have to stop sipping lean. You have to stop being a homosexual. You have to stop eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand? You know what I mean? People going into these stores and that's what they're buying: pork. They're buying the shrimp platter and the broil and the crabs and the snow crab legs and the king crab legs in these stores. And they're displeasing the Lord, and you have to stop that, because I'm not going to have pity on you. And is that mean? You understand? Is that mean? Is that hurtful? No, that's love. That's real love. Because for someone to come there to your funeral, or come to a funeral and not have love for you, they'll just come and get high with you and drink and sip lean and pop pills and so on and so forth, and to the point where you're going to be the next one in the funeral, and he's going to be the next one dead and in that casket. And he's going to be, and who's loving who? Nobody's loving anybody. But the truth of the matter is, love is what he just read just now. Reproving your people, man. Correcting each other, man. That's real love. Like, while we're alive here right now, we're telling you the truth, and you should hear it, because this is what's going to keep you alive. This was going to keep your family alive. It's going to put your house in order. But for, again, somebody who just doesn't understand the love, that doesn't understand the love according to what we teaching in the Bible, they're going to look at it as hate. They're going to look at it as, he just want to, hate on me, or he just want to, blow my high. You know what I mean? Or he just, and we got to, it's high time right now to wake out of our sleep. It's no more sugarcoating stuff. Now, with the same thing that the Lord told Ezekiel, go out and cry aloud and spare not, is exactly what we got to do. We got to go out here, cry aloud, spare not. Spare nobody's feelings, spare nobody's little heart and their emotions, and nobody's friendship. Who cares about your friendship? You understand? When the Bible talks about proving a friend, this is how you prove a friend. You understand? By serving the Lord and teaching men to do so, reproving your people. So we're not gonna spare your friendship. If I tell him he can't eat pork no more, he probably not gonna be friends with me no more. If I tell my mom I'm not celebrating Mother's Day no more, she probably gonna disown me. No sweat. You're gonna spare all of those things in the name of the Most High in Christ. You understand? In the name of love, because that's what real love is. Go ahead and read.
Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Verse 14.
Yeah, keep on going.
Verse 14. Let go from the mortal thoughts.
Like, let go from the mortal thoughts. Like, for so long, we've lived in fear. You know what I mean? Or we about to get kicked out of our house. What am I gonna do about this? What am I about to do about that? He about to leave me. She gonna leave me. I don't know how the bill's gonna get paid. Like, all these mortal thoughts and things we think about that are carnal. All these carnal things that we think about and consider all the time. Now it's time to put those things off. right? We have to be higher above higher above our flesh. You know what I mean? What our flesh thinks about and what we want for ourselves, and what we care about and wonder about and worry about. We have to get all of those things out of our minds. We have to put away mortal thoughts. Go ahead.
Cast away the burdens of men.
Mm-hmm.
Put off now the weak nature.
Right. Put away off now the weak nature. Go ahead.
Verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee.
Right. See again. So put away, put aside and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee. Right? Because we're stressing ourselves out. You stressing yourself out about what? What are we stressing ourselves about? Huh? What are we doing? Because we in the white man's kingdom, he made it all hard for us, and now we got to stress and kill and die because we stress because he done created this rat maze for us to live in, full of rats and evil and crime and everything else. And we're gonna stress about that. We're gonna stress because your wife says she's leaving you. You're gonna stress about your husband leaving you. You're gonna stress about you ain't get the grant that you applied for, the student loan, or all of these things that we stress about, or some of us, like it just said, the what? To read it again, read that part again.
Verse 15.
Let's go.
And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto
what?
thee. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee.
That are what?
That are most heavy unto thee.
That are most heavy unto thee. Right? Because most of the time, the thoughts that are most heaviest to you are really your strongest demon. That's really the thing that's really your strongest demon, is really the thing that's going to turn your heart away, right, from the Lord. It's really the thing that's going to turn your ear away from the Lord. That one thing that you worry about the most, that's just breaking you down the most. You know what I mean? And like, what is it for a lot of people? Some it's different things for everybody, right? So we're not going to say what is it for a lot of people, but it's different things for everybody. So, but that thing that you think about the most, you have to put that aside, because now is the time for you to set your mind to right with what the Lord is saying. You cannot have no holes in your boat. You understand? Not one hole in your boat. So you're going to start with the biggest hole and get rid of that. So then we can now start to float, and because it's time for us to really start to rise now. You understand? And you're not going to do it whatever it is that you're worried about all day. Whatever it is that you're obsessed with thinking about, that's completely keeping you from serving the Lord to your 100% maximum capacity. You understand? You have to serve the Lord to your maximum capacity, follow the laws, the knowledge of the Lord, everything, the statutes, the commandments, all of it completely. And that thing that you worry about the most, that's absolutely carnal, it's absolutely just a mortal thing that just, that you just, you've probably acquired through suffering and, oppression and the white man's ideologies and his religion, that you've obtained this way of thinking or the result of it, and you have to put it away. You have to let it go. Now is the time. Now it's not a joke anymore. The Lord is taking people off this earth left and right. He's putting more and more sicknesses and diseases out here. They just had something on the thing that said some dude got monkeypox. I never even heard of that before. Monkeypox. Yeah, that's the site right there. That's the facial expression right there. Monkeypox. You can see that is monkeypox. What is monkeypox? Who knows what it is? Nobody knows. It's something that the Lord created, something that the Lord put out there, that's terrorizing black people. To terrorize, Hispanics and Native Indians. Right? COVID-19. What else is out there? Whatever, all these little diseases. They had what's the other one called? Ebola, you know what I mean? And all these different things the Lord is putting out here, because it's high time right now. It's not the time right now to be worried about some carnal thing that you've always been worried about all this time. For sisters and brothers, whatever it was, it's time to put it aside. It's time to get your house in order. The only thing that matters is the Most High and what He said for us to do right now. Might have been cool in the 70s and the 50s and do certain things. But right now, you're running out. Like I just said, the grace is running out. The grace period is coming to an end. Be right at the door. You know, you pay your landlord told you that you didn't pay on the 30th. He's giving you to the 5th. Well, it's the 4th right now, and you need to be getting that money together. Well, in this case, you need to be following the law, statutes, and commandments because it's high time. The Lord is about to send his son. The Lord is about to send his son back. Read it again. That one again.
Verse 15. And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee.
Right. Set aside the thoughts that are most heaviest unto thee. Like whatever it is that's causing you to not serve the Lord to 100%, it's time to put it aside. Whatever it is, you've heard the truth long enough. You've been exposed to the truth. You've heard it long enough. You know who you are. You know the Lord is real. You know you've been, like it talks about in Ezekiel, where you start to, cause, sinews to come on those bones and the meat to come on your bones and the skin. Like you've been steadily growing more and more and more. But now it's time to just go ahead and get to it, straight into it, and dive all the way into it. So whatever it is that you was battling, and whatever especially that it is that you was battling the most, it's time to put it away. Time to put it away, put it behind you, throw it in the garbage, put it aside, because you have to be 100% right, 100% right and correct when Christ comes back. You have to be 100% right? Even in these times right now, up until when he comes, you have to be 100% right, because the judgment has already been happening. People are already being judged right now. Go ahead and read.
And haste thee to flee from these times.
And haste thee to flee through these times. Go ahead.
So verse 16. For yet greater evil.
For what?
For yet greater evils.
For yet greater evils. Go ahead.
Than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter.
You hear that, man? Like all of the things that we've already been experiencing, there's greater evils to come than that in this time. You understand? Like there's greater evils. It says right again, it says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. Meaning now we're coming into a time right now where Satan is ramping up. Satan is starting to really get out here and really push people's buttons. And if you got a button to push, he's going to push it. And that's why that verse 15 says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, because that's a button. And Satan is going to press it. Yeah, everybody understands that, right? You understand? Satan is going to press that button. You get that up? Everybody needs to start putting those things aside. You got to think to yourself. Start getting counsel, right? Start getting counsel. You don't know something? Start getting counsel. It's no more the time of going in ignorance anymore. You know what I mean? It's no more time of saying, well, I don't know, and what I don't know can't hurt me. Well, I'll do this now, and I'll find out later. That time is over. Before you do it, you need to find out, can you do it? You understand? Before you say it, you need to find out, can you say it? You need to find out before, because it's not the time right now, because there are greater evils now than there ever has been before. Okay? And because Satan's job is to make sure that our people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, don't become righteous and don't get the kingdom of heaven, especially knowing that it's coming close time for Christ to come back, he's going to work overtime. He's going to work in overtime. Demons, it's out here. They jumping on brothers left and right. Brothers and sisters was battling one thing. Now they turn around. Now they're battling 10 things. You thought you had a problem with getting high. Now you got whole nother problem now. Now you got to deal with this, whatever it is that the Lord is, whatever it is that Satan is coming, presenting in front of you. And now you got more and more to deal with. So again, you have to be absolutely righteous, have to be absolutely precautious, which means getting counsel, right? You have to put off every mortal thought, whatever you was thinking about, in your little mind about what you think is right and what you think is wrong and what you think is okay and how you feel in your little heart. It's time for that to be over. Read verse 16 again.
Verse 16. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter.
Right. Shall be done hereafter. Now it's coming into a time right now where even Satan and the demons know that it's crunch time. And for us, it's up to us and to hearken into the priests and prophets of the Lord, to hear the word of the Lord, to be able to set ourselves aright. You know what I mean? To survive through these times. Let me get Matthew chapter 5, verse 48.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 48.
To survive through these times. You understand? It's more important for us now to survive through these times, to listen to the priests and prophets of the Lord. Because you'll go out one way and come back way worse than you were before you left. And that's going to be an even bigger problem. So right now, what you want to do is stop digging. Right? What is digging? Digging is just keeping on thinking about what you think is right and what you feel, then going in a direction that's leaning on your own understanding. It's time to stop leaning on your own understanding, which means to stop digging, because as long as you keep digging, you got a worse situation to get yourself out of. And it's not easy. Like I say this all the time when we talk about the law. Changing your life or repenting is a process. It's a process. You know what I mean? Like forged through fire, like it's a process you have to go through to be able to become perfect. And the Lord does require us to be perfect. Go ahead and read.
Come on, sir. Matthew chapter 5 and verse 38. Ye have heard that it hath been said.
Ye have heard that it has been said. And this is in Matthew right now. So this is the New Testament. Why do we bring that out? Because people think that because Christ came back, that we just can be slimes and pigs and do whatever we want to do. But Christ didn't come for that. We heard that it was said, what?
Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth.
Hold on, where you at? You have Matthew chapter
verse
48.
40, oh, come on, sir.
5 and 48.
Come on, sir.
Okay, let me get that when you got it.
Come on, sir. I got it.
Yeah.
Matthew chapter 5 and verse 48.
Yeah.
Be ye therefore perfect.
Do what?
Be ye therefore perfect.
Be ye therefore perfect. What does it mean to be perfect? According to the Bible. What does it mean to be perfect? Right?
To follow all the laws.
That's right. That's what it means to be perfect. To follow all the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. That's what it means to be perfect. And it says what? Read it again.
Come on, sir. Be ye therefore perfect.
Go ahead.
Even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Right. Because your Father in heaven is perfect. You understand? He gave us these laws. He sent Christ, his son, to teach us how to follow the laws. The whole purpose of Christ to come and teach us the law was to show us that even though we're humans, we can be perfect, right? Because before Christ, it was just like, who can be perfect? It's not possible. I mean, we're all sinners. We can't, it's hard to be perfect. It's not possible, right? Everybody has heard that or felt that way at one point. But knowing that Jesus Christ was a black man, a man like us, born of a father and a mother, was raised like us in a ghetto, right, in Nazareth, in the ghetto, and had warrants out for his arrest, just like most of us have had before, and it's homeless and every other thing. That he was able to be perfect makes it possible. And because of Christianity, it puts in our people's minds the opposite of that, to keep them from bridging that gap to think that way. Because as long as Christianity is teaching that Christ is the Son of God, meaning that, God some way got Mary pregnant without a man, and this is some kind of immortal man, then you have to be immortal to be perfect. You have to be immortal to follow all the laws. You have to be moral. You have to be immortal to be righteous, right? But again, Christianity's whole job is white supremacy, and it's satanic, and it's to make blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians be evil and not be righteous. But again, you know who Christ was, and that he's a black man like everybody else. He's mortal just like everybody else. Then you can put in your mind that I can do it too.
That's right.
I can be perfect too. I can follow all the law, statutes, commandments. It's possible. It's possible. Christ did it, right? Be ye perfect. Give me Isaiah. Matter of fact, let me get let's get the take me to let me get Isaiah 59 and 1. Matter of fact, let me get Wisdom of Solomon, because we come to the end of class. Let me get Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. Let's see. There's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. Let me read that when you got it. And this is why we got to stop leaning on our own understanding. Like we're we don't have the mental capacity to think of the things that the Most High thinks about. You know what I mean? We don't have the mental capacity to understand the universe and how it all works, and how the human body and we don't have the capacity to figure it out. People have been figuring out little things like gravity for hundreds of years before they really figured it out. We don't got a time to try to figure out brotherhood. You know what I mean? We don't got a time to figure out perfect brotherhood. We don't got a time to figure out how to be a perfect husband, how to be a perfect wife, how to be a perfect man. And we don't got time to try to figure those things out and go read books and go read the writings on the walls and look at the stars and everything like that. That's all that's been done already. Now we just have to listen to the Lord, because if not, read it what you got.
The Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
For the ungodly said,
Mm-hmm.
reasoning.
For the what?
For the ungodly said,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Reasoning with themselves.
Doing what?
Reasoning with themselves.
Reasoning with themselves, right? The ungodly, that's what the ungodly does. They reason with themselves. They think in their mind of what's right and what's wrong. That's what the ungodly does. They think about in their mind like, damn, is this right? Is this wrong? That's what the ungodly does. They think that they in themselves in their mind like, damn, should I smack her or should I not? Should I sell these drugs, and I could get away with it? You know what I mean? If I do it, I can get away with it. They reason with themselves. Like we don't have the mental capacity to try to figure out these things or what's right and what's wrong. And we definitely don't have the life to do it either, because some of these things are punishable by death. So some of these decisions that we make with reasoning with ourselves could be the last decision we make. You don't have, like a long line of experimentation to be able to, like a cat got 9 lives. Like that's not us. We just need to listen to the Bible. An ungodly man reasons with himself. Go ahead.
But not all right.
Mm-hmm.
Our life is short and tedious.
That's right. Right. So our life is short and tedious. Right. Where we at? Tedious. Right. Our life is short and tedious. Again, like I just said, like it's so many parts of life that's so beyond, to the molecules. You know what I mean? Like we can't understand it. Like somewhere within the law of not eating pork, there's science. There is what they would call science about how it's not good for your anatomy and your pH and stuff like whatever, all of these scientific terms and studies. And we don't have time for that. Our life is short and tedious. We cannot. You're going to probably live a couple hundred years. The things that are in this Bible are timeless. The things in this Bible are absolutely timeless. These things have been given to us, ages ago. But the creation story was how many thousands of years ago? The creation story, Christ himself was 2,000 something years ago. You're talking about 8,000, 6,000 years ago. Like all of this stuff is ageless. Like it's where we need to look to for our knowledge and wisdom completely. We need to just dump everything else. You're not gonna live this life and think we're gonna look at TV and go to some university and learn about Black culture. You're not gonna learn about Black culture there. You're not gonna learn. Science is not gonna tell you everything. There's still stuff in science that they're still trying to figure out right now. You're not gonna go to the writings on the wall. You know how long it's gonna take? You know how long it's gonna be before you learn how to read hieroglyphs? There's still scholars right now that are still trying to figure out what the writings on the wall say. We don't have time for none of those things. We don't have time for none of it. Our life is what? Short and tedious. Short and tedious. Go ahead.
And in the death of a man, there is no remedy.
You understand? And there's no remedy. Like once you're dead, that's it. Once you're dead, that's it. You can't come back and be a good mom. You can't come back and be a good dad to your kids. You're gone. You can't come back and be a good husband, a good wife. You're gone. You're done. You messed up, and your messed up caused his life or her life, and you messed it up. now he has to be reborn again into a whole nother life and do it all over again. Your kids are going to go without a father. Your kids are going to go without a mother. You're going to go without a husband or wife. You understand what I'm saying? There's no remedy after that. The remedy is right now while you're alive. You need to make the right decisions now and not try to figure it out. Just listen, hearken to the Lord thy God and to do what he says, because that's the truth of the matter. That's it. These are ages of collective, I can't even find a word for it. It's so, it's benevolent, right? I think that's a good word. Benevolent information that's just beyond all of man's understanding. You understand? Like so much so that mankind, the most wisest and most knowledgeable men today, are still trying to figure out the things that God has done and created. Right now, they're looking into the sky right now. Now they want to try to figure out what the UFOs are about, right? Everybody's seeing it on their timelines, right? They think, what is UFOs? And UFOs, before they was in the Area 51. They didn't want us to know about the UFOs. They was in Area 51. Now they wanted to have a hearing and figure out the UFOs and all that. But do we know who the UFOs are in here? How do we know? Because we're just absolutely excellent scientists and we got a spaceship and we went out there and seen them ourselves? No, we found out because of the Bible, the infinite knowledge and wisdom that's in that Bible. We know exactly who the UFOs are. They're not aliens. They come from another planet and they're coming out here to take over the planet. They're like, like what's them things from Transformers? What's the bad ones called? Autobots, right? They're not Autobots coming from some galaxy to come take over our planet or something like that. You know what I mean? These UFOs are the angels of the Lord. That's who they are. They're God's angels. And those things that you call unidentified flying objects, those are chariots. And they've always been here before us. They was here before humankind, before mankind. They've been here. And one day we're all going to see them with our own eyes. We ain't going to have to get no Hubble telescope to go see them. They're going to be coming out of that cloud. You understand? In the sky right there for all mankind to see with a black man by the name of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who is Jesus Christ. They're coming. They're going to come. So, but it's just not a coincidence that now they're ramping up on the whole UFO talk. Just like there's no coincidence why now there's talks of wars and World War III and nuclear war. You understand? It's like there's no coincidence why there's talks of pestilence and COVID-19 is a global pandemic. There's no coincidence why there's talks of a global famine. All of these things are absolute signs of the end times. And how do we know? Because we're just great archaeologists and we've been studying and we got, infinite knowledge and wisdom. No, we know it because of the Bible. So again, there's no remedy to death. Read that from the top again.
The wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. Yes, chapter 2, verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not all right. Our life is short.
Right, they reason themselves, but not all right. They're not making the right decisions. They're not thinking the right way. Right? Go ahead.
Our life is short and tedious.
Our life is short and tedious. Like like I said, like the anatomy of a human being. When you think about it, like your sister was bringing out earlier, they polluting the water. You drink that water, you're dead. In some cases, they got the water in Flint. People are dying, getting all kind of diseases breaking out. Their flesh is turning colors. You inhaling this air and this oxygen, and you're dying. People have got straight bullets flying all over the place, and it's so many ways to die. Like our life is short and tedious. You don't have time to be trying to figure it out. Who are you? Who do you think you are? That's a real good question. Who do we think we are when we think that we know something? You understand what I'm saying? Who do we think we are? Do you think you know something? You know what a marriage is. You know what brotherhood is. You know what it means to be a father. You know what it means to be a mother. You don't know shit. Excuse my language. You don't know nothing at all. You don't know it. You don't know what it means to be a son, a good son. You don't know what it means to be a good daughter. You don't know it. Nobody knows it. The only person that knows it is in that Bible right there. And if they're not teaching you the truth according to the Bible, then you don't know, right? It didn't take, like I said, it didn't take for us to do circumnavigation around the world to know that it was round. It didn't take us to go to space to know that there was beings in the space. It didn't take us to have to eat pork and die from eating pork to know it was bad. It didn't take that for that to happen. It didn't have to go that way. Is it not true? Isn't that not where Adam and Eve, right? The Lord said, I put before you the tree of life. Eat of the tree of life, and don't eat the tree of the good and knowledge of good and evil. What is the knowledge of good and evil? Meaning all of the things that we think about outside of the truth and the law. Right? When we go out there, it's nothing but a bunch of questions and just abyss and darkness. So, you didn't have to, Adam and Eve didn't have to eat pork to know it was bad for them. It was told to them it was already bad. They told them, said it's bad, don't eat it. They didn't have to be lesbians to know it was bad to be a lesbian and a homosexual. The Lord said, don't do it, and you shall surely die. You understand? So again, like, we just need to stop and put away our own thoughts. Put away our own thoughts. Stop leaning on our own understanding. Stop reasoning with ourselves and the mind that we've gotten, the knowledge that we've collectively got from generations that's been passed down that ultimately came from heathens and their culture, right? We need to leave all of those things alone. On top of that, we need to start being what? What do we read about in Second Ezra? We need to start getting our houses in order by what? Putting away aside our, what is it? How did they pronounce it?
Deepest thoughts or something.
Yeah, the most heaviest thoughts. I don't know how it was worded. But the worries, the thing you worry about the most, the thing that's messing with you the most, it messes with your mind the most. Because that thing that's messing with your mind the most is the thing that's keeping you from being perfect. That's what's keeping you from being absolutely perfect in the sight of the Lord, right? Not only is it keeping you from being perfect in the sight of the Lord, it makes you absolutely vulnerable to Satan. Everybody understands that, right? It makes you absolutely vulnerable to Satan because he knows that you got a problem with, not being able to smoke weed. He's gonna put weed in front of you. He's gonna figure out a way, and he's masterful. He's gonna figure out a way to get you to smoke weed. If your biggest problem is homosexuality or whatever, Christmas, who knows? You understand? All of these things that's unlawful to God. He's going to find a way to get you to do those things because he knows that that's your biggest battle. That's your biggest worry. That's it. How can I figure this out? How can I get around this? No, don't get around it. The Lord said that this is unlawful. The things that you run for that are righteous, don't try to get around it. The Lord said it's righteous. Don't do it. Get over it so you can be free to be perfect and be free from the vile wiles of Satan. Because he's out here, he's lurking. He's trying to get you to not get that crown, to not get that rulership. And it's close. The time is close. All right, with that, I'm passing the class over to young man Kendall. All right. You got the announcements and holidays. You can come stand up here on the camera.
These are the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We're the I.S.U.P.K started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. And then Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Mishra means tenth in Hebrew. 10% of every penny and any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priest, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Or Feast of First Fruits starts after the Sabbath unleavened bread. Sundown Saturday, April 23rd, 2022. Count 50 days. Celebrate the 50th day. Sunday, June 12th, 2022. start before sundown. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 10 through 22. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And that concludes our I.S.U.P.K security announcements.
All right, everybody, imagine, stand and do the Lord's Prayer. Sorry, turn to face the east. We'll do the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwatka, Taba'ah, Watazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratizah, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemaya, Nathan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalat Lanawa, Kabawat Nawa, Kasalat Nawa, Kabawat Yanawa, Wala'ah, Tabi'ai Nawa, Banasai 1, Abal, Hawashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapara, La Walamyam, Amen. All right, we're going to do the prayer in the English.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Amen.
All right, so everybody, sorry, turn to face the front. Sisters, you can be seated. Yeshabia. We're going to do a warm courtesy salute for the brothers. Common War, stand up. We're going to do one courtesy salute for the brothers. Individual, Amadim Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Brakatah, Yagim Matah, which means hands down. Sar, we're going to turn to face the sisters. Sisters, Amadim, you can stand. We're going to do one courtesy salute for the sisters. Individual, Amadim Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Allah Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah. All right, Yagim Matah, class dismissed.